We are offered an array of options when it comes to doing good to the environment. We care for our pets, we practice proper waste management, we don't pluck flowers from our neighbor's garden, these and all sorts. One of the most common environmental courses of action evident nowadays would be the movement towards being eco-friendly. Hi, I'm Sir Paul from UPLB, Department of Humanities, Philosophy Division. In this lecture, I will discuss what eco-friendliness is and how it manifests in various forms in terms of eco-labeling, ending it with what we mean by eco-friendliness and eco-labeling by resorting to what we mean by being eco using ecological ethics alongside some challenges in living an eco-friendly life. Eco-friendliness is easily understood using the first two of the four main ethical principles introduced by Tom Beauchamp and James Childress, namely, beneficence and non-maleficence. Eco-friendliness is thus any course of action or attitude towards the environment that brings them benefit or any form of good, and/or the prevention of doing any harm towards the environment. Nowadays, being eco-friendly is most evident in the production, consumption, and patronization of products labeled as eco, or simply what we call eco-labeling. This is the latest trend. It is quite impossible now not to stumble upon a fellow grocery goer carrying an eco bag, or going to your favorite coffee shop and the barista serving you iced coffee with an eco straw. To go through these eco products in order, here are some common eco-labeled products that we encounter nowadays. First, the most famous eco-friendly product out there, the eco bag, sometimes referred to as a tote bag or sometimes even the cloth bag. The eco bag is offered as an alternative to the tradition of using plastic bags when it comes to carrying one's groceries and shopping purchases. Seemingly a throwback to the classic Filipino bayong, it is strong, usually made of durable fabric like canvas or katsa, it is reusable, and biodegradable. Some would even resort to using eco bags and tote bags to school and offices, instead of using the regular everyday backpacks and purses we grew up using. Second, the most common eco-friendly movement in food establishment would be eco straws overthrowing the old plastic straws. Eco straws can come in either metal form or wooden or bamboo form. The introduction of wooden utensils versus plastic utensils and paper or cardboard boxes versus plastic or styrofoam food containers and cups also join in this wave of promoting eco-friendly ways in enjoying one's meal. The metal straw being reusable and the rest being biodegradable are indeed friendly to the environment. As what most people would say regarding the banning of plastic straws, we save the turtles. Third, a full eco-friendly meal would not be complete without eco-tissue papers and napkins. Mostly made of sustainable resources such as bamboo, other napkins resort to the old-school cloth or panyo, as simple as that. If one needs to pack what is left of one's meal, one could resort to another similar eco-friendly material. Others introduce cloth dipped in beeswax and some other company's secret ingredient as an alternative to plastic wrap to wrap food, which is also washable, reusable, and biodegradable. Fourth, we have eco-hygiene products such as organic soap, organic shampoo, organic toothpaste, and the trendy hobby in the plantito and plantita world, growing loofah sponges which overthrows plastic loofahs. Organic loofah sponges are also used instead of plastic sponges when it comes to washing our dishes. Fifth, we also have the use of reusable tumblers versus plastic bottles. These are just some of the most common eco products that we see on a daily basis, and the list goes on. Aside from products, eco-labeling also manifests in places. Thus, we have the transformation of mere tourism to ecotourism. In this new sort of approach to tourism, we move to promote the tourist spot beyond just mere appreciation of its beauty. We also recognize its complexity, in turn inspires us to conserve the area and respect its inhabitants. In the Philippines, we have tons of famous eco-tourist spots, such as La Mesa Eco Park in Quezon City, which aims to immerse oneself with nature. We not just see nature up close, we experience it, not just merely appreciating it as some sort of separate entity from us, concealed in a glass box or hidden behind bars. All these sorts of eco-labeling in terms of products, services, places, abide by the very essence of what it means to be eco. Aldo Leopold, in his book A Sound County Almanac, written in 1949, introduces the land pyramid concept, which emphasizes the transfer of energies circulating within these entities. In consuming and patronizing such eco-labeled products and services, we should recognize not just the present state of using such a product or being in such a place, we need to investigate its past, present, and future. Each entity has a role in a meiotic community, according to Leopold, one of which is transferring energies from its source up to its release everywhere upon its death. Thus, say in the consumption and use of an eco bag, you should be aware of where it came from and what it is made of, since the material itself speaks of what sort of energy it possesses. And the event that it has served its purpose in the world, its time to release its stored energies to the world should be acknowledged. Recognizing the ecobag's past and being responsible for its present and future fulfills this sort of ecological awareness to fully grasp what it means to be eco-friendly. In using such products, we minimize any potential harm towards the environment upon their disposal, since they are biodegradable. And we also give benefit since the stored energies they have are potentially useful for the other entities, wherever it may lead and decay. Despite the gleaming promise of eco-friendliness, in offering tons of alternatives in doing good and avoiding harm towards the environment, criticisms are inevitable in this discussion. Firstly, in the question of authenticity, in terms of being aligned with ecological ethics, is there really a guarantee that the consumption and patronization of such products abide by an ecological sense? This question is more addressed to the providers of these products and services. Disillusionment of consumers would be of an interesting separate topic. Going back, how can we assure that the eco-products and services offered to us are indeed eco-friendly? Regulation of labeling and dissemination of eco-products and services is thus a must. Secondly, from experience, it is a fact that living an ecologically conscious life is not economically friendly. Say for example, a single organic loofah sponge costing around 50 pesos, which must be disposed of after 2 months, is quite pricey compared to a 3-in-1 plastic sponge, costing only around 60 pesos, with each sponge lasting for about 2 months. It pays to become eco-friendly. Thirdly, from experience as well, one time I tried buying eco-friendly toothbrushes, one wherein the bristles are plastic, yet the whole toothbrush itself is made of bamboo. The sad toothbrush eventually got carpeted in gray molds in less than a week after purchasing. It was neither used nor opened. Thus, eco-products should be consumed immediately. In relation to the previous example, sometimes I tend to question whether we could consider as eco-products these products with parts simply replaced with anything organic, such as the toothbrush still having plastic brittles, or like this eco ballpen with a wooden case but still has tons of plastic parts and metal bits, or paper food packagings still lined with plastic inside to prevent leaking. Seems to be some marketing ploy to appear eco but are in fact not. Or should there be some degree in considering these products to be something 100% eco-friendly, 50% eco-friendly, and such? Should the wholeness of an eco-product matter? Fourth, people also tend to include electronic and electrical movements to be eco-friendly, such as eco-cars versus gasoline-powered cars. Is electrical eco-friendly? Fifth concern would be the end of the product itself. Although most eco-products are made of biodegradable material, is buying and disposing them enough to be eco-friendly? Returning them to nature or proper waste management should also be taken into consideration. An improperly disposed eco-straw is thus far from being ethical as compared to a properly disposed plastic straw. Being eco-friendly doesn't stop in the consumption. It is fully grasped up to the disposal of the very product. Finally, all of these are a matter of personal choice. To reiterate some points mentioned, it depends on several factors as to whether one would choose to be eco-friendly or not, in terms of availability and affordability of these eco-products and services. Regardless, eco-friendliness offers a new wave of environmental ethics in action and is thus a good candidate for a new ethical discourse due to its popularity and timeliness.